Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is an absolute pleasure to be invited back to the Red Tie Affair. I feel so fortunate to share some of our experiences from the paths our son's journey with intestinal failure has taken us upon. Let me begin with a few thank yous. Thank you to the De Silva family for allowing my wife and I to share in the incredible and inspiring work you do for the GIFT team. This work makes a difference in the lives of so many, and I can't think of a better way to honor Allison. I also need to thank Dr. Paul Wales and the entire GIFT team for the gift they have given us. We have a beautiful, brave, and strong son who in many places on this planet would never have come home from the hospital with us. Thank you for the world-class care he receives, for the relentless research you do and apply to his treatment. Thank you for the extra emails you send, and for the compassion you give to so many sweet children battling horrific diseases. Thank you for all you do. When Carolyn called and asked me to speak to you this evening to keep everyone posted about how Hartley has been doing over the last few years, the idea struck a chord with me. Around the time I shared my first talk here, I had coincidentally started my first social media account on Instagram. That evening I took a picture that I posted on my feed, and since then I've gone on posting many of the milestones that Hart has met over the years. I felt that using media my wife and I have shared with our friends and family, as well as parts of posts and emails we have sent, might give you some insight into our lives. In sharing our still unfolding story with you, we hope that you can see the bittersweet balancing act raising a medically complex child with intestinal failure can be, and therefore just how important your support of the GIFT team is. The life Hartley leads is inspiring, as you'll hear. However, there are so many heroic families and children whose stories are equally inspirational, and so I hope my talk honors them as well. One day. So much can happen in a day. I'm taken back at times when I reflect on things we do in our daily routine that have become totally normal for us. Ostomy changes, daily IV hookup and heparinization, sterile procedures, and subcutaneous injections. And while I accept that our scale of relativity is slightly askew, there are days fighting intestinal failure that are truly overwhelming. Days that have us feeling like we're riding some kind of terrible roller coaster. January 24th was one of those days, and I'd like to share the post I made that day with you. Today certainly did not go as planned. Despite 7 or 8 attempts in the OR, they were unable to remove the PICC line fragment in Hartley's chest from last week's failed PICC line exchange. The blood clot they found in Hartley's chest during the operation seems to have broken up after 2 big doses of heparin. We had lessons from his nurse today and gave him his first injection of an anti-clotting medication this afternoon. We will continue the injections ourselves at home over the next month, followed by another round of tests to determine how long we need to continue this course of treatment. He will also continue his round-the-clock IV fluid and weekly blood work, as he is still dealing with the horrible after effects of the flu he caught this past November. As always, Hartley's heroism, patience, and optimism inspired everyone present today. In the span of 7 hours, he had a 2-hour surgery, a 45-minute pulmonary ultrasound, an equally lengthy echocardiogram, 2 IV doses of heparin, and finally, an injection of blood thinners in his arm given by his dad. What a day. He handled it all better than his parents, with a smile on his face, being cooperative every step of the way. At the end of days like January 24th, coming home is truly one of the best feelings I've experienced. But I'll talk more about that later.
My socks on. Stop.
Hey, I like your legs. Look at that. I think he loves climbing up me.
Food and fluid. Many people find it comical when we share with them what Hartley consumes on a daily basis, and waitresses across Ontario have been shocked when we say the words, "Yes, he wants all of that," and "Yeah, adult portions, please." But the daily effort put forth by my wife to prepare 4,000 calories a day, and Hartley's subsequent work to stomach it all, is no joke. As a result of the limited capacity his short gut has to absorb nutrients, Hart has a biological need to consume insane amounts of food called hyperphagia. While it is at times an exhausting process of feeding and emptying ostomy output, we know it's all worth it. Hartley has grown well enough to be removed from IV nutritional support for calories, despite having intestinal failure. This is a huge deal for us, as IV nutrition damages many of the livers of children who are exposed to its use long term. There was a period of time when Hart was in early stages of liver failure as a result of his own use of the TPN. Our obsession has now flown from TPN to hydration, and I'd like to share a post about fluid I found for you. If I ever feel I want to give up on anything, I think of what a champion my son has had to be. For most people, drinking would be a helpful way to combat dehydration, but for people with intestinal failure, drinking only serves to exacerbate the problem. Hartley is allowed a minimum of 400 to 500 ml of fluid daily. I watch him struggle with the thirst and limitations his bowels have forced upon him. Tonight I started doing some math in my head. We had replaced nearly 2 liters of fluid loss in an attempt to hydrate Hartley. This is approximately 20% of his body weight. If I was to lose an equivalent percentage of fluid, this would be close to 40 pounds of water weight in a day. When I started to imagine how it might feel to lose and gain this weight multiple days in a row as he had, I realized no matter how hard it is for me to imagine to go through this as an adult, Hartley's 4 years old. As hard as it is to admit, I'm thankful for that old bag and chain, Hart's IV pump. It's been with us every day, everywhere we go, even camping in Algonquin Park, since before we were discharged from Sick Kids when Hart was 3 months old. I'm thankful for the people who designed and built it and the people who've provided it to us for the last 4 years. It has run for 12 plus hours a day, some 22,000 hours lifetime, which if run continuously would total between 900 and 1,000 days. It has never once needed service in this time, an incredible piece of technology. The bittersweet thing is that in all this great length of time, this beautiful piece of technology has been doing its job with absolute perfection. Hartley's been hooked up to it. And while I'm truly thankful for the freedom this device has afforded us, if Hart is ever free from this old bag and chain, I won't miss it a single bit. Being tested. I think we could all probably admit we hate tests. They put us under the microscope, make us feel stressed, nervous, or self-conscious. I'm even willing to bet that many people have likely faked an illness just to avoid doing a test. And yet, being tested, frequently, often invasively, is a huge part of what someone with intestinal failure struggles with. This ongoing testing of his body and its functions culminates in a huge test of will, a test of his strength and resilience, the test of someone battling a chronic illness. Several weeks ago, I shared this post about being tested. I continue to be astounded and inspired by the poise and patience of my eldest son, and a hospitalization for an apparent blockage demonstrates his capacity to cope with testing very well. In the span of 2 days, I've been by his side through blood work, x-rays, ultrasound, lupogram, multiple enemas, tubes in his nose and stoma, as well as constant poking and prodding of his painful body. A lupogram is a test where they injected 180 mils of contrast dye into Hart's already dilated abdomen. Then they had me help roll him from side to side while they took pictures. I won't share what was said, but I will say that all 3 professionals and even the doctor admitted to crying because of Hart's courageous words. He has been learning to communicate his needs and symptoms effectively to his doctors, and many of the staff who take the time to get to know him are amazed by who he is. In the midst of all this testing, while it's been agonizing and humbling to watch him battle through the last week, we are so proud of both our sons during these trying and testing days. While we will always be the subject of tests, each new challenge we face tests our resolve as parents, and it is a true team effort to help him through all the tests, exams, scans, and surgeries. Patience, patience. With all the testing Hart has undergone, we have been forced in many ways to learn patience. Patience as patience. Patience comes from making and losing ground with this disease time and time again. In November, for example, Hart lost 6 pounds. 6 pounds that took nearly a year to gain and only a week to lose. It seems that times like these remind us patience is a virtue. He is one of the most patient 4-year-olds I've ever met, but he's had to earn it. Hart's unbelievable patience was demonstrated strongly for me in November when he was in the hospital for 2 weeks as a result of complications from the flu. This morning, Hartley was able to help second-year medical students work on their examination skills. The teaching doctor brought in several students because she has never seen such a happy and cooperative patient. I don't know how in the midst of all he goes through daily, let alone what he's been through in the last few weeks, how he stays so patient, positive, pure, and innocent. It inspires me to try my best to do the same.
You're crazy right now.
Pain. There's no denying it, this is the worst part of intestinal failure. As Hart has aged and his ability to express his emotions have grown, we've learned that pain is an inescapable part of his existence. His body endures great physical pain, and the emotional pain he's endured is what Ash and I point to when accounting for his emotional intelligence and wisdom. The photograph I posted here shows 4 instances of Hartley enduring the pain of blood work, but this picture only represents a small fraction of the hurt Hart has had to deal with. Here's the post I connected with this photo. Even though we've done things like this and worse quite literally 100 times, there is still part of me that breaks whenever Hart gets poked, examined, assessed, or operated on. It's not until the moment passes and we find ourselves lying in bed watching a movie later that night that his happiness, hilarity, and assurance that, "Don't worry, Dad, there's no more needles today," reminds me that, like all things, pain eventually fades away. Holding Hartley tight through all life's painful moments reminds me just how important it is to enjoy a good cuddle whenever you have the chance. It also reminds me about a line on this topic from one of my favorite TV shows. "I know you'll face pain, suffering, hard choices, but you can't let the weight of it choke the joy out of your life. No matter what, you have to find the things that love you. Run to them. There's an old saying, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't believe that. I think the things that try to kill you make you angry and sad. Strength comes from good things, your family, your friends, the satisfaction of hard work. Those are the things that'll keep you whole. Those are the things to hold on to when you're broken."